Okay, we are here with Steve McQuaid of the Genesis Show. Hi, Steve.
Hey, hey.
Let's talk about your rig and what you're doing getting back into playing these Steve Hackett parts.
Yeah, it's actually really cool because when we were doing the Duke tour and the Abacab tour, I really had to kind of have two rigs in one because I was playing the Darryl parts, but also doing some of the Mike Rutherford parts,
yeah,
like the Mike Rutherford leads. So I kind of had to, have a bigger rig. This is more streamlined, and it's kind of all old school. We pretty much everything is vintage and exactly what Hackett had.
I'm going to say I think out of the five of us, and we're trying really hard, you have the most authentic rig currently on this.
Yeah, probably. One of the cool things was this amp here. This is an H&H Electronics amp, and they're super, super rare. Hackett used it for the Lamb. He used it for 76, and he ran it with his, he had a high watt 412 cabinet, and he had a rack just like a head version of this. So in other words, these controls without the speakers, and then he ran this into his high watt 412. I searched everywhere, and I found a couple of the rack mount units, like in Europe, like in Yugoslavia or something, right? And they were all beat to hell. And I was just searching online and Reverb, and this thing popped up in Chicago, and it is like brand new.
Right. Yeah. So didn't it even have like the original dust cover on it?
Yeah, the original dust cover. It's almost like in perfect shape.
Wow.
And the cool thing about it, the interesting thing about it, it's the combo, so it's not the head, but the speakers in it are the Fane speakers, which are the exact same speakers that are in the high watt 412 cab.
Oh, okay.
So it's two of the same speakers, and it's a British amp.
Right.
And,
okay.
They made it in the 70s. It's solid state, and it has a very clean, like kind of sterile sound. But that's what you want. This is like kind of the base for his tone.
Right. Okay.
The foundation for it. Again, H&H Electronics, super super rare, and they're still in business, but they make like stereo equipment and
like
stuff
hi-fi
like that.
stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
So
cool.
this is the foundation for the rig.
Okay. How about your guitar?
Oh yeah, this is a Gibson reissue 57 gold top,
Okay.
kind of like what Hackett played. He also had a gold top that was the deluxe that had the mini humbuckers in it.
Oh.
It was like a 70s version that you would use sometimes as a backup. And he also had a black Les Paul, and you can see that on some of the early stuff. But this was his main guitar for all the the 76 tour.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And I remember when we were, I was outnumbered. I wanted to do the 78 tour, and everyone else wanted to do the 76 tour, and just logistics. I like it all. And then we decided to do 76, and you came into the first 76 rehearsal we had over the summer, and you were like, "Guess what? I got an email that the Hi Fli is done."
Yeah.
So tell us about this.
This is a really super, super cool piece of equipment and super rare. About 7-8 years ago, I was searching online for Hi Flis, and apparently there's a guy in England who bought the rights to the Hi Fli stuff, and he was making them, and he was only doing a handful of them, and he was making them. It's all handmade, hand wired, using the old schematics, and all the same electronics. The casing's a little bit different. The original Hi Flis had it was like a plastic casing, but he made a wood casing that's more durable, and he put on some more durable faders. But everything else is exactly the same. And he was taking it was like a waiting list that he started, and I submitted my name. I completely forgot about it, and then when we were debating on whether or not doing 76 or 78, I happened to get the email.
That's amazing.
Your Hi Fli is ready to ship.
That is nuts. So, and when you came in and told us that, I was like, there it is.
So we're doing 76.
Right.
So the cool thing about this is, if you look over here, this foot pedal controls the Hi Fli.
Like the pair of orange pedals,
so
right.
The pair of orange pedals. There's a switch in here, so I'm gonna turn it on.
Okay.
Right. This pedal controls. It's the on-off switch, and it's basically this is a precursor to a guitar synth, kind of. This has a fuzz section, which I don't think Hackett used very much. I think he used it like in ripples in that in the middle section off of the studio version. And then there's basically a phase filter section, and the right pedal controls that section.
Does it like control the speed?
Yeah,
like the LFO speed.
Yeah, what I can do is, to be honest, he didn't use much of that stuff. But what you can do is you can set a parameter here and do like plus. So if your pedal is in the back position, when you move it up, it moves it from 0 to here, right? So,
got it, right.
And if you go in the negative, it moves it in the opposite direction. But Hackett didn't really use any of that. But what he did use this for is for like fast vibrato stuff, which back at the time there was no pedals that could do it.
Right. So like the Lamb stuff.
Yeah, so like the Lamb stuff.
Yeah, play a little bit of that.
So here, this is the this is the speed, and this is. Let me see here. Let me see. Oh, you know what I did here?
I know when you're doing this out of order from the set. It's
yeah. So this is the. Here we go. So you can hear. Let me get so you can hear basically the Lamb sound.
Right. Yeah.
You can add some warbleness, like the counting out time. That sound.
Right.
But the other cool thing that it does, it has a slow phase shifter that's a lot softer than some of the other ones, and you'll hear it right here, like for entangled.
Right.
Let me see. A slow phase.
Right. So what's it like the intro to Entangled? What is that?
So yeah, it's using this setting here. You also have there's a little delay on it, which we'll talk about the delay in a minute. But whoops, I gotta pull this down. It's a little too warbly. Yeah, this is the sound. You hear that slow?
Oh yeah.
You know,
and I forget what that's called in a phase shift, but like that where it turns around and doubles back on itself.
Yeah, some of the waveforms turn around.
Right.
Which is different than the Phase 90 pedal, which we'll talk about. The Phase 90 is a lot harsher.
Yeah.
Has a lot chewier of a sound.
Right.
Like I'll pull this down and turn this off. But you can let me turn this off. But this is a Phase 90 original script.
Yep. Right.
You know what they call a Bud Box.
Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah. So you can hear how. And he would use this stuff, like he used this on, robbery, assault, and battery. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a lot deeper sounding.
Right.
Than this.
And you have a real Echoplex here.
Yeah, this is the real EP3 Echoplex like you have in your rig. I've had this for years. But there's nothing like a tape delay.
No.
It's just very rich. You can hear it has some slight warble in there.
Oh, yeah. I must admit, I was a little envious of yours until I got mine.
EP3.
Like, yours was the first one I saw, I could talk to the person about it.
There's nothing like these old Echoplexes. Yeah. So I also have in the.
I'm going to come behind you.
Yeah, sure. So one of the other things that I have in the event, because this is old and mechanical, and there's like a hamster on a wheel in there.
Right.
Turning it. So in the event that this thing blows up on us, I have an Echoplex pedal here as a backup.
Right. These are like the current Dunlop ones, right?
Yeah, the Dunlop ones. And this is the preamp that there's a preamp that's built into this that colors the sound, that gives some warmth to it. And when you turn this on, it kind of, when you have it at 12 o'clock, it mimics this. But I also use this throughout the show as a boost too.
Okay.
So I kind of turn the knob with my foot, and I can give solos a little bit louder boost here. This pedal here is a acoustic guitar preamp, which Hackett didn't have in his rig, but he did run his acoustic guitar through his amp. Like a lot of times.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So his acoustic guitar went through the effects. The problem is my pickup on my guitar, on my 12 string, that's right here. I have a Guild 12 string. When I run that into this pedal board, it's very muffly sounding, so I needed to brighten it up a bit. So that's why.
Why that's there.
Yeah,
and then a good demonstration of that is like the '76 version of White Mountain.
White Mountain,
right? Where they where you can hear that he's playing acoustic 12 string, but you hear the phase 100 or phase 90 on it.
I can kind of show you here, so if you guys want to hear what I'm talking about. I have this is a switcher that allows me to switch from guitars without having to plug. So you can hear how it's a little muffly.
Yeah, right.
When I turn on the Hi Fli.
Oh, you do the Hi Fli for that? Oh, okay.
I think I turned this off. Yeah, there we go. So here it's a little bass heavy.
Yeah, right.
Now when I kick this on, it gives some of the brightness back.
Right.
So you can get White Mountain.
That's cool. And then you hear the Echoplex on that too.
You hear that loop back around.
Right.
So I use that preamp to give some brightness there.
And you have quite a bit of fuzz pedals here, right? And they look big and blocky and fat.
Yeah, these are kind of my prized possessions in this rig. Well, actually, it all is. It's pretty damn cool. This is a Shaftesbury Duo Fuzz. This was his original. No, it wasn't his, but he had a Shaftesbury.
Right.
I hunted high and low for this thing. And each one of these fuzz pedals kind of sounds different, but I'll show you what this sounds like. Let me hit the volume pedal up here. Oh, I still got my acoustic guitar on there. So, let me turn the Hi Fli off. So this is he used this on the early stuff a lot, like Watcher of the Skies. It has a very nasally sound. You'll hear it. And these pedals are noisy.
Right.
You hear how that nasally?
Yeah,
like,
right.
There's that honk to it. So it has that type of sound to it, right? And he uses this like in robbery, assault, and battery, like with the phaser. That's awesome. That's the tone, right? So let me turn that off. This is really more of his main distortion.
What's
for
that?
This tour. It's a Marshall Super Fuzz again, a super rare pedal, and this has more of a. This kind of has like a mid boost to it. More of your typical, like he uses this in his Firth of Fifth solo. And these pedals are all very noisy, right? So like. So, and then this is actually a reissue. There are only a few hundred of these made, maybe 10 years ago. It's a Color Sound Super Tone Bender, and this has like a thicker, more compressed sound. Violin type sounds.
Oh, right,
come from this, and there's
like the more sustained type,
But check this out. A lot of people don't know how Hackett ran these pedals. He used a technique called cascading. Right. Where you basically stack the pedals on top of each other. It's noisy as hell. So on some of the bootlegs, you can, and it's hard to control, like with the feedback.
Oh, I believe it, yeah.
So you can hear on some of the bootlegs in '76 where some of the squeals and the feedback get away from them. But I'll show you what I mean. So what he would do was...
So he actually, you think in 76, or that he actually had all of those fuzzes.
Oh, yeah.
Stacked.
No, for a fact.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. That's cool.
So he didn't
I didn't know
have-
if it was like a personal preference
Oh,
thing.
no.
I liked this for this or this. Yeah.
No, so
Wow.
I know he this is what was in his rig. But one of the interesting things that he would do is the cascading, and I'll demonstrate that, and you'll instantly hear the Hackett sound. Okay, so let me turn this off for a sec. So here's clean. What he would do is he would turn on a super fuzz. Let me see his hell. Let me kick the volume pedal back. And then he would turn this pedal, the color sound on too. And then he would kick on the delay. This is my delay foot switch, which is a modern foot switch that that plugs into that. But you're gonna hear, and he would use this volume pedal to get like swells. And it sounds very violin-like, like. Right, and you back off the volume pedal.
Yeah.
So it almost sounds violin-like.
Yeah.
And you get all that sustain because it's two pedals. Basically, this pedal is on, and the distortion feeds into this pedal, which is also on, and it just stacks up on each other and just gets really thick. But you got to be careful because here's what it sounds like when the volume's full up. Right? It's a complete mess.
Hey, I think I've heard that in rehearsals.
Well, yeah, you definitely hear it. But yeah, so you got to ride the volume pedal very carefully and to try to make sure it doesn't get away from you.
Nice.
Right? So each one of these pedals has a, has its own distinct distortion sound, and he uses different ones on different songs. And so a lot of it is, and because you've done this with your parts, you're listening back to
Right.
all the bootlegs, trying to dial in the different sounds. And
I have to say, as this is Matt talking, the keyboard parts. I really don't pay attention to that side of the stage when when we're working, And then as we get more comfortable with the material and I start to hear your parts poking out. I'm like, oh my god, that sounds just like. It really sounds cool. Yeah,
I'm like a kid in a candy shop because I basically have Hackett's rig here, and then when we're playing this stuff, I'm just like, man, that sounds just like it, right?
So I know, isn't that fun?
It's fun, but the some of the. I know I played it earlier. Let me turn this off here, but you have the Echoplex, and then you turn on, the Hi Fli, and you have the the entangled stuff.
That sounds just like it.
Yeah, because it's the Les Paul into the Echoplex.
And it's funny, you wouldn't think in like 76 there'd be a solid state amp with all that sound. But it just sounds really good.
This amp does make a big difference. And in 77, if you listen to the Trick of the Tail bootlegs, you can hear his tone is different than on 77.
Oh yeah.
77. That was the tour he used the jazz chorus. He used a 412 jazz chorus with the chorus on all the time. So it's has definitely a different tone to it.
Right.
This one is more. 76 was a lot of times it was more dry and in your face. Mm-hmm. I like it because it's more simple. Right?
Yeah.
And it's just so it's been a lot of work dialing in the tones and everything, but it's so much fun.
Yeah, it is. It is. All right. Well, thanks, Steve.
Oh, you know what?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Tell you, this is.
Oh yeah.
These are kind of cool. This is a slide ring, right?
Okay.
And I also use a slide on some songs. But this thing, for the longest time, I could not figure out what Hackett was doing on certain things, like in the middle of Cinema Show. In the acoustic part. Right. There's all these weird sounds.
Yeah.
So check this out.
I remember actually thinking it was like Bill Bruford percussion stuff
Bruford
for the longest time, and then you figured this out.
Well, how I figured it out is there is a video of Hackett doing, you can find it on YouTube, of doing Please Don't Touch. It's a live recording of it from the, I want to say 78 or something like that. And at the end of that song, I'm pretty sure it was "Please Don't Touch." He starts doing some wild, crazy slide stuff, and I saw he had a slide ring on, and that's when it hit me. And I'll demonstrate. So in the middle of Cinema Show, there's this percussive type stuff going on where you're playing the acoustic and Mike is
Mike
playing
and I,
the acoustic. You guys are playing it. Hackett, does a lot of this stuff where he's doing muted. Like some rhythmic stuff, but then you start hearing what sounds like bird calls.
Yes.
That's what this is. Check this out. So we have the delay on, and then the slide ring. So you'll hear that stuff in the middle section of Cinema Show, and then one of my other favorite sounds that he does is the sound of like wind.
Right.
In the trees, where he takes a slide ring and he goes on the lower string, and it's right, and then
okay, go ahead, keep going.
So that's he's doing that. So and then the bird calls, and if you listen to the version off Second It's Out in any of the bootlegs, you'll hear that. And then he comes in with the melody at the end, like. Whoops. And he uses the slide a lot for some.
Okay. It's crazy. I knew you told me about the slide ring. I did not know that was on one hand, while the traditional slide is on the other hand.
Show, I got I'm all metaled up here, right?
Right.
I'm doing this stuff and then doing slide parts here, so it's kind of, but it recreates the sound to a T. So, and he uses this like in Watcher of the Skies at the end. He has. If you listen to the version that we're doing is the one off of Three Sides Live.
Yeah.
You listen to the very end of it before it goes into Watcher of the Skies. There's all those lead parts, and he's doing some cool like like a lot of that type of stuff.
Nice.
So
That's cool.
Hackett. For as limited as effects were back there, he really produced a lot of different sounds, that were pretty integral, and trying to dial those things in and figure out what they're doing was definitely a chore.
That's the crazy. When I first started playing with you guys, and I'd always loved, and to me, my favorite album was Trick of the Tail, which is cool that we're doing this. And it wasn't until we had to learn this stuff where I was like, oh, that's a guitar.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a keyboard.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
a bass pedal. And you just don't know. And it's like, as I figure my stuff out and you figure your stuff out, it's like we kind of have they had the same. Tony and Steve had like the same role almost. It was.
They did a lot of that kind of stuff, and trying to figure out some of these techniques was difficult. And like another cool technique for any guitar players out there, a couple things leave you guys with is Hackett's vibrato style.
Yeah.
It's not how I normally play. I played classical guitar and studied it a bit, but he has very much like a classical violin type of vibrato, meaning he would hit notes, and here's the typical type of bend vibrato, like guitar player, all rock guitar players, right? Let me turn some of this crap off here. Let's see. Right, more of a slower vibrato, right? But what Hackett would do is he would do. That's the other thing. There's no lights on these pedals. I
don't know what's
tell
on.
What's on or off. He does like a fast vibrato, like. Right, like.
Yeah.
That type of stuff.
Right.
I think. So So yeah, so that's kind of cool. And one of the other things too that he would do is he would have like crazy. He does a lot of crazy bends. One of the things that gave me the hardest time is that section in Supper's Ready. After we come out of Willow Farm, and kind of demonstrate it. And at the end, he has the two gains stacked. This like sounds like a
Out of
mess.
control.
Yeah, out of control. So, but you'll hear what this bent. I couldn't figure out for the life of me for the longest time what he was doing. I'd never seen another guitar player do this, but he bends because you don't hear where the bend really starts and ends. It sounds like it's going in a circle. You know, that next part. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I was doing like, right? But when you bend up, it stops, right?
Yeah, right.
But what he's doing is he goes up, and then he strikes the string again, brings it down, and bends up in the other direction. So I'll show you what I mean. Okay. It's like... You hear it? He adds that fast vibrato on it. So it's that fast vibrato, and he's going.
I can't believe how far you're bending.
Oh, it's insane. Yeah. And it's tough because you're bending up, and
doing that vibrato.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I couldn't do it. One of the things, I was having a hard time doing it, and my fingers were just wearing out because I had I play with 9s and 10 gauge strings, and I said, "There's no way he's doing it with that." What I found out is Steve Hackett plays with 8s. Oh, okay. So I have this guitar strung up with basically thinner strings for non-guitar players, right? So I can do those crazier bends and not destroy my fingers. But yeah, it definitely does a number on your calluses because he digs in and gets that fast vibrato. Mm-hmm. But those are some of the things that if you want to sound like Hackett, that he's it's
a lot. It's not and it's not obvious.
No, it isn't. Like it took a lot of time and stuff. So hopefully, if there's any Hackett fans out there, some of the tips can help you sound like Steve Hackett.
All right, good man. All right, thanks a lot, Steve.
You got it. Thanks.